Good morning. So I had this idea this morning, right? That if I opened a gym, a weightlifting gym, but I didn't charge people money, then I wouldn't have to be running a business. And then OSHA can't shut me down. And then we can all get together and exercise. I like the idea. I don't know about anyone else, but kind of an expensive endeavor, but maybe a cool ministry. All right. We are in the Bible, and we're going to be in Acts 16. We've broken into 16. Coffee. And so, hey, I see you guys hopping on. Why don't you say hi? Let me know you're there, and we'll get this show on the road. So, Acts 16:1. Then he came to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus. Timothy. Timotheus, if you're reading out an old King James, I just like the sound of that, Timotheus. The son of a certain Jewish woman who believed, but his father was Greek. He was well spoken of by the brethren who were there at Lystra and Iconium. Paul wanted him to have him go on with him, and he took him and circumcised him, because of the Jews who were in that region, for they all knew his father was a Greek. And as they went through the cities, they delivered to them the decrees to keep, which were determined by the apostles and elders at Jerusalem. So the churches were strengthened in the faith and increased in number daily. Arla, I know you're on there watching. I'm not going to go there, but we're kind of going there. We had a good talk last night. You know what? It's fun. I don't know why. I get on these little kicks, and I swear every morning as I open up Acts, and I haven't looked at Acts since the previous day we got together. I leave that. So every time we get together, this is like an us thing. I don't plan any of this. So it's fun to watch how God orchestrates. We had a talk last night at our church before Arla was serving with the kids, and I did the Israel and prophecy talk. Paul is there with Silas. He's beginning his second missionary journey. And this journey has a purpose. He is taking the letter that was written by James with the accompaniment of the elders, the apostles, everyone in Jerusalem, the Jerusalem Council in Acts 15. And if you weren't with us, right, that's a big deal because there were Jews trying to tell the Christians, you need to be like us. You need to be Jewish. You need to get circumcised. And so they have this big council. What do we have to do to be a Christian? Do we have to live a certain way? Do we have to follow certain rules? Do I have to say special prayers? Do I have to quit cursing if I want to become a Christian? Do I have to throw away my rated R movies? Do I have to stop drinking? Do I have to stop smoking? Do I have to go to church every Sunday? Do I have to give money to the church? Do I have to? Do I have to? Do I have to? And that, my friends, is the chorus of the carnal Christian. Do I have to? And so often we get so caught up in people who are born again, right? And many who aren't born again, and they're kind of dabbling in this church and Jesus thing, wanting to know the do I have to's before they actually commit. Some commit, and they still ask, do I have to? Well, Paul and Silas are carrying with them this letter, and they make it clear that in this, here's greetings. Since we've heard that some who went out from us saying, they troubled you, saying, unsettling your souls, Acts 15:24, you must be circumcised and keep the law, to whom we gave no such commandment, right? And so he's telling them, no, you don't have to be circumcised. You don't have to quit cursing. You don't have to throw out your radar movies. You don't have to quit smoking. You don't have to give money to the church. You don't even have to show up on Sundays to get saved. But the real question is, what is edifying? What is going to grow me if I want to get as near to Jesus Christ as humanly possible? Then it's not do I have to. It's what can I do? What can I do to increase my relationship with you, Jesus? What can I do? Is there anything? My often prayer is, Lord, if there is something as big as a grain of sand that is separating us, I want it out of my life. And so here's the irony. Here's the thing. Paul gets back to Lystra. This is where just a few chapters earlier, Paul was stoned, I believe, to death. And the believers gathered around. Morning, Carlos. And the people are watching, right? And they see him dead there. And I believe Timothy would have been there as an old boy, young teen. And by the time Paul makes it around for this second journey, Timothy is increased in his face. Lois and Eunice, his mother and his grandmother, believers, they were Jewish, and they poured into their child, and he was getting strong. And so Paul's like, I'm bringing this guy with me. This guy's a winner. He's going places. I might write the last book I ever write to him, which he does, 2 Timothy. But here's what happens is you see, to the Jew, it didn't matter who your father was. It actually only mattered who your mother was when it came to being Jewish. As the saying goes, you never know who the father is, but typically we're pretty sure we know who the mom is. And so if your mother was Jewish, you were considered Jewish. If your dad was Jewish and your mom was a Gentile, you're not really a Jew. It's interesting, as Joel Rosenberg, Christian author, you may know him, his father Jewish, he's half Jewish, mother not, and he talked about trying to become a citizen in Israel today, and that was a big issue because it was his father who was Jewish and not his mother. And so that's still a thing, regardless, and just tradition. But here's the thing. What do I have to? We're getting here. Look what it says in verse 3. Paul wanted to have him go with him, and so he took him and circumcised him. Paul takes Timothy, half Jew, half Gentile, uncircumcised up into his teenage years. I want you to go with me so we can deliver this letter telling people they don't need to get circumcised. And all I think we should do, 1 Timothy, is get you circumcised. Isn't that weird? But Paul knew that as they ministered to Jewish people who would acknowledge Timothy as being Jewish, I don't know how you find out that he's uncircumcised. But the point is if they knew he was uncircumcised, it would have stumbled them. It would have stumbled them. That letter, it talks about abstaining from being strangled, abstaining from blood. What the letter actually said was they were encouraging Christians not to partake in things that were going to stumble the other believers, not to partake in things that were going to push other people away. And so he gets Timothy and circumcises him. So where is this going? Well, last night, Arla and I had a good talk, and we just simply talked about is that truly a mark of maturity, something that is part of our growth as Christians, is our desire and willingness to give up our rights, to give up things that I don't have to do. But I do it so I can reach people. I do it so that my preferences, my comforts, anything that I can get rid of me, so that I can reach you, it is worth it. And that's a heart I believe God would desire to foster in his children. Put Grogu over here so it doesn't distract anyone. So that's something that God wants to do. He wants us to find, how can I lay down my life so that I can minister to others? How can I give up on these things? And you know what? God isn't asking you to sacrifice anything so that he'll love you. But he is asking you to sacrifice some things so that you can love others. You see, that's the thing. And so I just think this is a beautiful picture. And maybe there's something going on in your life right now. Maybe there's something going on in the world right now that you can just pray about for you. And that's all I'm going to encourage, is that are there things that are your rights, your liberties? God's not saying you have to do anything. But is it something that could possibly stumble someone else to where they would be less receptive of the gospel when you try and bring the gospel to them? When you try and show them the love of Jesus is being overshadowed by our own selfishness. Because I really love myself. And if it went my way, I would just do the things that really satisfied myself. But that's not what we're called to as Christians. Jesus talks about laying down our lives, laying down our rights, laying down our liberties so that we might reach the lost. Paul says, to the Jew, I became a Jew. To the Gentile, I became a Gentile. To ones under the law, I became as one under the law. To one without the law, I became as one without the law. Not as actually being without the law. He's saying, I never actually broke the law, but I tried not to act like one of the law. I just tried to relate and be like them. And I tried to minister to people where they were at. And so that's my encouragement for you today. Pray as we go through 2021. Are there liberties that I could live without? And maybe not all the time. You get what I'm saying? But when there's people that I know, this is my right. Well, is it your right to push them away from Jesus? Is that the right you want to claim? Well, you can't make me. Nope. But you have a choice to make you. And so when it's the gospel, not just, this isn't everything else. When you know the gospel's at stake, when you know that your liberties could stumble others, when you know that it's a matter of representing Jesus, really just be prayerful about your rights, your liberties. Timothy here got circumcised. And I'm just going to throw it out there that no one in recent time has probably asked you to do something more inconvenient or awkward than getting circumcised in order to win other people. But Timothy did it, and you know what? He became a powerful and pivotal member of the early church. Oh, that God would do the same with us today. So, God bless you guys. Pray about this. Hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow and you're not mad at me. And have a great day. Tomorrow morning, 7:30. See you guys.